Eric killed me with fading Luka. Did I make your fucking lineups, Michael Wallace? I don't think I did.
And we
weird.
are live. Welcome to NBA Live Before Lock. It is Thursday. That's a different day. Thursday, May 2nd. I am Josh Engleman. I'm joined by Eric Lindquist, and we are brought to you by Sleeper. Game 6, Bucks Pacers, tipping off at 6:30. Game 6, Knicks Sixers, tipping off at 9 o'clock. Yes, that is the stupidest time possible for two East Coast teams to be tipping off a game on a Thursday, yet here we are. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live, and follow us both on Twitter. You missed me yesterday?
Yeah, I did. But also I had Rinpack, so kind of not. But it was an awesome time. I got to see my old friend, Ryan. I've known him for years and years and years, enjoyed it. But will say, I did miss you. There's a part of me that likes to get abused, has a little bit of Stockholm syndrome. So it is what it is. But Michael Wallace, you're welcome. Thanks for the shout out. You're welcome. I was JK. I didn't full fade Luka in any 150 capacity. I only ended up playing one lineup yesterday, and Luka ended up in it after all of the garbage that took place in that early window. Ended up having the Miles McBride piece hit, and then the more I maneuvered around with things, yeah, I ended up on Gafford still, ended up on Powell still, but still ended up cashing the one lineup in absolutely everything I played it in. So it's true, Eric rocks. That's nice. See, now he's taking it back. See, a little backward momentum here early on. You gotta say it with your chest. You gotta say it with your chest.
Can you imagine how much Sydney Sweeney could say?
Buddy.
Anyway,
what did did you hear what they're doing for that movie?
What movie?
Her and who's the super hot chick who dated Ben Affleck? Help me out.
Jennifer Lopez.
Ana de Arma.
I don't know who that is.
Perhaps the hottest two co-stars in the history of movies.
Yeah, there's only one kind of movie those two need to make, and it's not whatever they're making. I'm positive of.
AI will help you out.
Oh, if only.
Unfortunately.
How did our friend Ryan? Who did our friend Ryan take for the exotic play of the day?
Who did he take? I can't remember. Oh, it was the play who shall not be named. It was like I made it a Voldemort thing, basically. Who did he end up taking? I think he took Zubats. Yeah, didn't end up being fun.
He probably should have went a different direction with all of it, but that's a conversation for another day. We got Dame in. We got Giannis out.
Yep.
Welcome back, Damian Lillard.
It's a little bit of a change to the slate, I would say.
Jordan Else is, there's no way you don't know who Ana de Armas is. Can someone name something she's been in?
Wasn't she in not a Born? Was it,
probably the one with Jeremy Renner. Never saw that garbage.
She was in that terrible Marilyn Monroe movie. She was Marilyn Monroe in that, which was not good.
No, never saw it. Chat, what's she done? War Dog. Okay, she was in War Dogs.
Yeah,
I don't remember her, but I do remember Jonah Hill and other guy. I don't remember his name.
2 guy.
Knives Out,
Miles
never
Teller.
saw it. Deeper, never saw it. James Bond, never saw it. Blade Runner, didn't see it. No idea who this person is.
Man, you're fun at parties. Literally nothing. Knives Out, yes, Bond. She's fantastic, dude. But it's the fact that her, with her backside, and Sydney Sweeney, with her entire portfolio, are going to be in the exact same movie at the same time. It's probably going to make a lot of people's heads explode. I saw one guy, it went completely viral over on Twitter, but he basically is like, I'm going to have Tommy John surgery.
I saw that one.
That is so funny.
I'm looking at
I was
her.
like,
I'm looking at
that deserves a
this
like.
chick's movies. I don't think I've seen anything that she's done.
That's unfortunate because she could say nothing. She has like a cool accent too. I think she's not Brazilian or Argentinian. Maybe she is. I don't
She
know.
is
She is
Cuban
just
and
wicked
Spanish.
hot. Cuban and Spanish. Oh, dude. I mean, just give me all of that you got.
I mean, clearly wasn't German and something, but yeah,
On a
I
day
don't
of
think I've seen
Armas
a
can
single
turn Eric
other than War
straight. That's
Dogs.
actually
War
funny.
Dogs.
That's actually
War Dogs is
funny.
the only thing I've seen on this list, and
Yeah.
I definitely don't know
Jeez.
have a clue what she did in War Dogs. I mean, I guess
I
technically
had
I've
no
seen
clue.
Despicable Me, but I don't think that counts.
Yeah, it probably doesn't. I'm gonna say that you don't get to enjoy the same glories of who she is.
I've definitely seen Sydney
Never too
Sweeney in
far.
my dreams, and she stars in those bad boys constantly. I
Mhm.
am nothing more than an extra in those films. She won't even talk to me in my own head.
You're on in camera.
Yeah, at best. At best.
Like,
You want to talk about this slate?
sure. Kind of.
We got a super chat from Devon Maya. Fading Middleton now that Dame is in. I don't know, but
No,
probably not.
no. It's a 2-game slate.
You want to talk about pay ups?
I do.
All right. So we're going to say anything north of Bobby Portis because there's an $800 gap between Bobby Portis and Tyrese Halliburton. We have Halliburton at 8,500. We have Pascal Siakam at 8,600. Middleton at 87. Maxey at 88. Lillard at 92. Brunson 97. Joel Embiid 10-7. As you look at it, I'm assuming you don't have anything officially run yet.
No.
Same for me at this point. But as you're looking at it right now, what is your expectation for your pay up options for today?
My expectations is that I get to a ton of Embiid, Brunson, and Maxey.
Ooh.
I have to think that we're seeing 44 plus minutes for each one of them. Coming off of the minutes last game, obviously overtime, you just remove that from the portfolio. I felt pretty good about the Brunson fade until that point, but they just can't pull Joel Embiid off the floor in an elimination game in Philadelphia, especially after all of the back and forth he had about Philadelphia not showing up for that game. And then Tyrese Maxey ends up kind of salvaging the game forward that they never should have won there. I think Joel Embiid, after 48 minutes there, 43 in regulation, is allowed to do the exact same thing again. I think you get like 3-4 minutes of Paul Reed, and that's all she wrote. So I think you're going to get that for him. You're going to get that for Tyrese Maxey, who did not leave the floor for longer. 1 minute he left the floor? That's cool. I just like getting to the guaranteed minutes there. Indy still, no matter what they want to do, like no matter what happens here on Dame on the other side, I think Dame is definitely going to cut into Middleton and Bobby Portis and what I do with them. But I do think Indy, we're just seeing back and forth usage for Siakam, Halliburton here. I think you just kind of hold hands with the field here at the moment. But my expectation, based on what I have for minutes, is that I jam Joel Embiid. I probably end up under to Jalen Brunson ever so slightly, but I have a lot of him. And then Tyrese Maxey would be third in that pecking order.
I expect to be light on Embiid. I was this morning. I was jamming Chris Middleton aggressively earlier today, and Bobby Portis. Now that Portis ownership for me is going to come down a little bit. I'm kind of flying blind. I was very light on Maxey and Embiid when I did the strategy show this morning, and that terrifies me. I went 41 Embiid. I went 44 to Maxey. Had a lot of trouble going anything north of that. I'm actually already 2 real points above Joel Embiid's prop market. So that's making me terrified because I don't really know what I can do with that sort of information. I can't project him for more minutes and then make my line be an even bigger stretch than it currently is. But at the same time, I look at it and it's like, oh, it's Joel Embiid in an elimination game at home. And I'm going to sit down at 9 o'clock and be like, welp, go Mitchell Robinson.
Have you seen the plus minus with Philly with him on and off the floor in this series?
You don't even have to say this series. In the history of Joel Embiid being in the playoffs, every time they take him off the floor, they get beat by a point per minute.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. I think it is more likely that he plays more than 44 minutes than fewer than 42 is what I'm getting at.
Do you think I kind of had this conversation earlier today with someone that you used to
I might know
see
him
from time
yeah.
to time? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
do we think that every minute for like I know what the answer is here. I don't know if every minute for Joel Embiid is equal. I think that like the 42nd minute of Joel Embiid is not a 1.5 fantasy point per minute guy in
I get what
comparison
you're saying.
to and then minute 43, minute 44. Because we've all watched this series and seen him be to just not have gas in the tank. He's got a like he's one of those like hybrid cars that have a battery, but not like a big battery. So when you run out of gas, it's like you have 6 miles at 25 miles an hour to get to the gas station, or else you're gonna
Yeah,
run out
it's
of
like the
gas. I
mechanical
think that's
toothbrush
it.
as it goes red and it starts to slow
Oh,
down and it's not working the same way. And you know you need to charge it, but you also are too lazy to grab the fucking charger out of your cupboard. And so you just
yes.
deal with it and then you start just raw dogging it. So that is the analogy. I'm totally with
When
you.
you say raw dogging it, do you mean brushing your teeth like normal, which is what an
Like
electric
normal instead
toothbrush
of
is when it
with
doesn't
the
vibrate?
spinning battery. Yeah, it just
Yeah.
it's out there not nearly as effective. I mean, one of the wild things about Joel Embiid here too, I was working through this because I thought that there was some value in taking some unders in the blocks department on him. That's something that I ended up doing on pick six because I do think a lot of people, some of these over unders, like how many points do you have Joel Embiid for?
Real or fantasy?
Real.
33.7.
Yeah, awesome. How many rebounds do you have him for?
9.9.
Okay, so I have him for 32 and change in the points department. He's at 30 and a half over on pick six. In the rebound department, he's at 10 and a half, which again, I think is more neutral. Odd Chopper has it popping. The market is definitely more bullish on more in that direction. But I was basically making the case kind of what you're talking about with our former colleague. We've got an opportunity for Joel Embiid where you look at his block rate, it's like 4.2% over the course of this season. The thing that's falling apart to a certain extent for him is just like he's not defensively nearly as active as we've seen him in
Yeah.
like his 33, 34-minute role that we've seen constantly. Like he's not being as aggressive at the rim to block, also doesn't want to get in foul trouble. So there's a lot of ways. I took a pretty aggressive stance on under 1.5 blocks. It is something that I was able to get around even money. It has got to have changed because the market was starting to move on it pretty hard. On pick six, you're still able to fire it up. So you can take the less
Okay.
than whenever you want there. But for me, I was kind of thinking through the same thing as you, just in a different way, where I think defensively taking some less thans, I think it makes a little bit more sense in the marketplace, just purely because of like, oh, well, there's 44 minutes of him. He can't be completely active on the defensive end. He's laboring for sure. It is what it is. But like, I find it hard to really diminish his points and rebounds in this spot. So I'm just kind of hoping that he fails in those departments anyway, even though I'm not going to be going less on it. I'm going to play probably around the field in DFS still. I know you were shorting him before, but now that Middleton looks worse, now that Portis looks worse, I expect when we get to this rerun that Joel Embiid shows up more for me.
I just finished my first draft of what we're going to have. Now I'm definitely going to rerun this stuff at like 610 or yeah, 610, 615 and get an actual look at what I'm doing here. I have 10% of Embiid.
Wow.
I do now have Maxi, but I also have Maxi's under on prize picks, and I've won 2 out of the 3 days this week. So I might be just cheering for
There you
prize
go.
picks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. So I like the I took the under of 27 and a half last night on Maxi. So I was able to get that in, my ways. So Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, I'm on board with you. 27 and a half also is the line that exists over on pick six for the people.
I think that I pasted the wrong stuff in before I ran that. Sure did.
I'm
That'll be okay. It's
doing
not all that
something
different.
else at the moment.
So I can speak to what I have right now from that pay up section. And it's not really a stand anywhere, which is very different than what I've had a lot lately. Other than being light on Embiid, I have 40% of Brunson. I have 40% of Maxi. I have 20 of Middleton. I think that might go up. I have 34 of Siakam. I have 32 of Tyrese Halliburton. Like I'm very, very flat at the top. I have two big stands. They both come from Indy. It's Turner and Neesmith right now. But we'll
Both
talk about
for,
those guys. What'd you say?
both for or against.
4.
Okay. That's the Miles
Ooh.
Turner play is like inevitable. I haven't
Yeah.
been able to get away from him. Stays at 7,200. Love that, you finally got a game where I think people might be hitting eject when they really, really, really shouldn't. It was just a weird game script. You're not going to have Milwaukee blow out Indy in their current iterations very, very often. So 31 minutes of Miles Turner last game. Now it kept his tag identical at 7,200. He's still nearly 50% owned. It's a 2-game slate, but I'm with you where I think he's kind of the one piece of chalk up top here that I'm just going to be jamming. Um, I don't know that for sure yet. I do think that I'm going to get to a little bit more Embiid as a result of getting less Middleton, getting less Portis, getting less of these guys than I got early this morning. But Joel Embiid, I do like what you're talking about. I do like the idea of like trying to take his rates and reduce them. I mean, this is a game with around a 200 total as it is too. I mean, it's just a terrible game environment. 202.5 is kind of like the high range of what books have posted now. It is obviously a Knicks team that's doing everything they can to slow him down. Tyrese Maxey benefits to some extent, but like at home in Philly, coming off of that weird game 4 where he called out all the Philly fans, something tells me we don't want to be necessarily hitting complete eject on Joel Embiid, but that's more of just like a no ball take. Looking at the data, I don't know how you like diminish him below 31 points, 32 points. I don't know how I take him below 9.5 rebounds. I don't take his rates are just going to throw him into a lot more lineups for me.
Do you want to have the Dame discussion? Get it out of the way.
Kind of. I mean, it's such a weird thing because, we're talking about the rates here too. How many times have we seen Chris Middleton play 40 plus minutes alongside Dame in a basketball game? Like legitimately never. It's so hard for me to know, like you said, are we going to play Dame or not? I'm going to play 150. I bet I have a share or two of Dame, but like, I really have no idea what to expect for him here.
I gave him 36 minutes. I didn't get a single share of him. So to me, I see him as very difficult to get to unless you're being actively defiant. Like he's not going to have a ton of ownership. We're currently projecting around 10. He doesn't project close to Jalen Brunson. He certainly projects below Tyrese Maxey in this spot. I think it's very hard to assume that Damian Lillard is going to step out there and play 40 minutes today. And if that's the case, I just don't know how you do it.
I think you do it by saying that somehow he's healthier than we think he is. It's more of like it's more like you're just forcing him into a couple of lineups where you're very, very chalky elsewhere in order to like have those shares for Damian Lillard being out there being absurd. Like Damian Lillard and Chris Middleton sharing the floor, just running this stuff here over and over again, and then just taking Giannis off. It is just truly going to be one of those things where if you got 40 minutes out of the middle of nowhere for Dame, which I also think is also very unlikely, but the usage has definitely been in his favor. 30.2% usage rate with Giannis off the floor playing alongside Middleton, 294-minute sample this season, 55.6% true shooting, only a 47.4% effective field goal percentage. I think it's pretty safe to say that defenses have been keying in on him when you don't have Giannis out on the floor and it's him and Middleton, but this is an Indy team that isn't very good defensively, that is actively not good defensively, and makes me want to kind of get to a little bit just in the event that somehow, again, 38.6% field goal percentage as is in 294 minutes sharing the floor with Middleton with Giannis off. And that feels like really, really low baseline here. Like, what is it? Like fantasy point per minute rate on the season, only 1.15 playing alongside Middleton here. I'm with you. It does feel very uncomfortable, but like I think forcing your way in the Sims tool to maybe give a little bit of a Sims ROI boost and getting 4 or 5% if you're playing 150 is probably something I'd still be an advocate of doing because there is that ability for him to just be 100%. Like he could just be 100% with no minutes restriction. And then you're watching the game and it's like, oh shit, they're never going to take Dame off the floor. I think it's probably like a 10% outcome, but like, I think it's worth it on this slate where if he's going to be 2-3%, you do it.
Currently, he has a points prop at FanDuel of 23.5.
Jesus.
I have him at 25. Didn't get him. He grades out as my 28th best play of anyone on the slate. I don't think there's anything I could do to get to him.
The thing you do is you just ramp up his minutes in one run and you just take your top 3 or 4 lineups and add it to your portfolio. I think that's what I would do. I think that's what
You
I'm
have
going
to
to do.
you have to want to get him. He is not going to look good in data.
Correct. And also, I mean, that's the other thing. How many times we don't have over 300 minutes with him sharing the floor with Chris Middleton this season? Isn't that insane?
That is an
With Giannis
oddly
off,
low.
with Giannis off, Dame and Middleton have only shared the floor for 294 minutes.
Yeah. You want to hit some super chats?
Yeah, let's party.
All righty. First one up, Ace of Spades, DK Tears. You guys know the drill. First one up, Embiid, Brunson, Middleton, Siakam. That's going to be Joel Embiid.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Tier 2, Maxey, Halliburton, Portis, and Hart.
Maxey.
It's Maxey, but I have it pretty close, actually, with Halliburton.
Yep.
Which is
it's
a
probably
surprising.
an upgrade defensively, having Dame back on the floor, right?
For sure. Absolutely, Milwaukee's defense gets worse. Unequivocally, they get worse.
Yep.
This next one might be the easiest one of all of them. Turner, Anunoby, Lopez, Beverly, DiVincenzo.
What are we doing here? Turner.
Yep. Turner by, I have it at 13. Just hard to do in the third tier on a playoff slate where nothing's changed.
That's so dumb.
Tier 4, Harris. That's Tobias, by the way. Kelly Oubre, Aaron Nesmith, Isaiah Hartenstein, Andrew Nembhard, Malik Beasley.
Tobias Harris.
Coin flip me between Harris and Nesmith. I basically got the same, and I have them projected basically the same. Tier 5. This one's really tough, I think. Miles McBride, TJ McConnell, Kyle Lowry, Obi Toppin, Mitchell Robinson, Pat Connaughton.
That is tough. I feel good. Maybe it's the warm and fuzzies and the way I'm projecting him a little bit better. Miles McBride.
I have it as Miles McBride. I think TJ McConnell is close. I think Kyle Lowry is close. I could, that's probably one that I would pick based on what I have in the rest of my tiers.
Yeah.
And then finally, tier 6, Batum, Cam Payne, Gallo, Paul Reed, Precious Achua, Andre Jackson, AJ Green, Jay Crowder.
What the fuck are we doing? I don't even know. Wait,
oh, this one's easy.
Batum? Is that what you said? Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, what are we doing here?
Darren Unger, favorite FanDuel plays. Have you run anything on FanDuel?
No, I have not.
Okay,
but I ran it this morning. It just doesn't apply because it was pre-middle, or it was pre-Dame.
If I run my stuff on FanDuel, my favorite options on FanDuel, OG Anunoby, pretty difficult to get away from. Miles Turner, I think, is your center option. Josh Hart, Aaron Nesmith, Miles McBride, Pascal Siakam. That group of 4 is showing up a lot. It takes a while. It's a lot of Pacers. Oddly enough, on FanDuel, it's a lot of Knicks. There's not much you can get to from the Milwaukee Bucks. Bobby Portis is probably my highest exposed FanDuel guy, and that might be 11th overall. It's Anunoby and Turner, tier 1. Josh Hart, Aaron Nesmith, Miles McBride, Pascal Siakam, tier 2.
Is Batum seriously the guy that I'm getting the most of? Is that a real thing? I just ran it.
I have 61% of him after my crunch, so I don't think that's crazy in any way.
Yeah, 78. So yeah, I have tons of Nicholas Batum over there. Fun times. I'm not playing there.
All right. Whale. Is there anything else we should touch on for some of these pay-up options? I don't think there's much to say about Halliburton, Siakam, Brunson at this point.
Do you have a preference between Halliburton and Siakam if you're playing one lineup? I think that's probably the one thing to throw out there is that they've been now right around the same salary, and it's not mutually exclusive. There's a lot of ways that you'd play more towards that game being competitive, has the higher total. Obviously, it brings Dame into play where, or not into play, but like it brings Middleton and Portis. Like you want to get to one of those two probably in the combo where you're putting both Halliburton and Siakam into the lineup. But do you have a preference between those two if you're playing one lineup?
When I ran my stuff, I got to 34% of Pascal Siakam and 32% of Tyrese Halliburton. I have them projected for 1.21 and 1.23 fantasy points per minute. I couldn't even begin to choose. Like if you already want to go to, if you have other options at point guard, then it's pretty easy to just say like, oh, I'm going to Siakam. If you're not a huge Brunson and or Maxey guy, then you're probably going to Halliburton.
Halliburton's had a lot more usage in the games that they've played at home. Siakam's had more usage on the road. I don't know what to make of that. It's very small sample sizes. I'm just picking at straws, trying to figure out like what I would tell somebody if they're just playing one lineup, how to go about it. I'm going to play one big lineup and then I'm going to play 150. And I think I'm going to end up with more Siakam when it's all said and done, but I don't know that for sure. Siakam's pulling more ownership at the moment, but I've got Halliburton projected better. We have him projected better at Stochastic. So for me, I think just kind of where they're at salary wise, it just made a fun talking point. Thought we'd at least cover it.
Well, I have one other fun talking point for you. I didn't get to do this yesterday. Makes me sad.
Okay.
But whether it's Tyrese Halliburton or Pascal Siakam, that's not relevant for this discussion. We need to know who is the exotic play of the night. Boy. Are there only two choices? Three?
Kind of three, if you want to really stretch it out. I mean, Hartenstein's probably the chalk, and then there's the McConnell, and then there's kind of DiVincenzo, but like defensively, they're just not going to be on the floor. I would rather play Connaughton than DiVincenzo, I think.
Gallo?
Oh my God.
We don't have any choices, man. This is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I have Isaiah Hartenstein like 17th on my list of exposure, and that's the top dude here.
Yeah, I'm under to TJ McConnell's 39%, so I feel weird putting him into the conversation. I'll probably end up close to the field on Isaiah Hartenstein, so I feel better saying him. 5,400 now, price coming down with Mitchell Robinson questionable still. There's a chance if he doesn't play where Hartenstein just can walk into a couple of extra minutes. They can go to Precious, who we saw end up playing pretty well actually in the game 4, but probably just Hartenstein by default.
Can I opt out for today?
I love it. Why didn't we just not do the bit for once in our freaking lives?
My choice today.
Oh no.
Thursday, May 2nd, for the exotic play of the night is no one. There will be no white of the night tonight, for we have no quality representation. Unfortunately, white of the night is getting sat out by me.
Man, you're just so high and mighty.
I don't trust it. So yeah. I'm going to opt out.
Yeah, I don't.
No exotics today. We're closed for business.
So how about that? Can we actually put that as a thing? If there is no exotic in the optimal tonight, we don't do the bid anymore because it's dead.
Absolutely not. Okay. This is a me specific thing for choosing no one. You, on the other hand, are forced to make this choice always, even when we don't have representation.
Awesome. Thank you so much for listening and hearing me out. Really, really great coworker. Thank you.
You guys can get Odds Shopper if you're in a legal sports betting state or at a pick'em site. Either way, you're getting the best tool that you can find. We take a market-based approach to beating the books. We provide you expected value and expected win rates. We have optimizers for the pick'em sites. We have parlay builders and odds boost calculators for the sports betting sites. We have a brand new redesigned live odds screen with tons of advanced data. We give out Odds Shopper ratings. You get that expected value and expected win rate. It's all right there in front of you. One click, immediately go place whatever you're looking to. You want to shop around, you want to get the best line, and you want to take advantage of a market-based approach. The easiest way for you to do that is to sign up by clicking the link in chat or the one in the description. Also, I want to know who Eric's favorite GPP plays are for today. Who are you taking some big stands on?
I'm going to be able to tell you in probably 10 seconds as I finish my everything. Here we are. We got new ownership like 3 minutes ago, so that's good. 4 minutes ago. If you wanted to utilize that at all, I'm doing that. And then I'll tell you, because again, I had an idea of who I'd be getting to based on stuff from earlier, but Yeah, I'm going to be on the opposite end of Joel Embiid from you. That is for sure. Again, shorting his blocks prop, that's enjoyable, but if he wants to put up 5 of them and I can win a GPP, I'd be fine with it too. I'm just jamming him in Maxi, so that's going to be very fun.
Mm.
Also, Andrew Nemhard, I find him pretty unavoidable. Still sub 5K despite playing massive minutes when games have been competitive in this series. I don't take a whole lot from that Milwaukee Indiana game, especially because now on the Milwaukee side of things, we have Dame that's a little bit different. And for Indy, it just was one game that went very, very sideways. I think we have a pretty good indicator that Nemhard in any competitive spot here is going to be playing 38, 40 minutes pretty much ad nauseum here. 35 on the bottom end if you really want to just go that direction. I have him in for 36 though as it stands. And then OG Anunoby playing an absolute metric ton of him yet again, even on DK. What is he? 6K positive leverage, 38.5% optimal percentage. Just hasn't been appropriately owned in a couple of these spots. Been getting positive leverage on him pretty routinely based on the boom bust tools. So like getting to that one. Those are some of the popular guys. I also think Ben Shepherd is kind of more interesting today than what he's been on other slates. He's 3,100, and it doesn't make you feel good to be clicking on Ben Shepherd, but he's playing right around the exact same minutes as what TJ McConnell is, like over the course of this series. He's not as involved. He's not as good of a fantasy producer here, but he's out there to knock down shots. And he's now made threes in 5 consecutive throughout this entire series. Was looking at like the under of 0.5 threes for him last time. Glad I didn't pull the trigger on it, but Ben Shepherd is weirdly out on the floor more than what I was expecting for this series for sure. I think there's ways that at 3,100, if you're looking for that salary saver, I think we're getting Miles McBride. He's still my favorite at 4,200, but the popularity just keeps going up, up, up here. And the tag hasn't changed all that much. He's been around 4,200 the whole series. I prefer him, but so does everybody else. I think Ben Shepherd's kind of an interesting guy if you're trying to get to 3 of those studs in a specific lineup.
I had a little bit more of Shepard earlier today. I have 12% right now, but I do like that shout as a sneakier value option. I've already mentioned Turner and Neesmith. Those are my 2 big stands. They're also 45% owned, so not much to add. Similarly, I have 70% of Nick Batum, also 40% owned, so I don't think that's what we're looking for. I have 50.
Loves him.
I have 50 plus of Miles McBride right now. No changes to the Pacers starting lineup. So I like getting to McBride. They seem to like his defense. They seem to like Dante DiVincenzo a little bit less, but obviously DiVincenzo can shoot his way into additional minutes. If that shot's falling, he's just staying out there. I don't really have any like major stands. I'm over the field on Maxi, I'm over the field on Siakam, but I don't feel like they're like GPP plays. I mean, if Brook Lopez is 6% owned, is that like the dude we should be paying attention to today?
Yeah, it gets you a little bit different center spot here. I think, I guess for me, it's just kind of going back to what the rates have been. We've seen Brook Lopez right around a fantasy point per minute producer with Damon Middleton on, Giannis off, 247 minute sample size for that one. Again, it's a good matchup where you got to take the rates up going up against Indiana here, but now with another body there are ways that they can go to that Portis at the 5. They don't necessarily have to have him out on the floor, even though I think with Miles Turner out there, you'd prefer it. I mean, Gallo's basically dead now, coming off of a game where he was, serviceable, played 20 minutes. But again, I don't really mind a lot out of the last one. I mean, Brook Lopez, that is quite a bit of leverage you're getting. If we're going to see everything come in on Embiid, Miles Turner specifically, I think they're both good pieces, but there's no doubt that Brook Lopez has positive leverage coming his direction if he's going to be, sub 15%. We have him 13.6% optimal. He'll definitely be lower owned than that. So, kind of an easy way if you're pretty chalky building out one lineup to find one different center and going to Brook Lopez there, or, if you're trying to get 15, 20% in 150, I don't think that's the worst play either.
To me, he just looks sneaky. Like there's only so many center options that you're going to get to today. He's going to play 35 plus minutes today. I mean, I have him in for 36. We saw him play 39 in the game that Portis went out. We saw him play 39 in the OT game, which, is call it 34 in regulation, but They go home if they don't play a couple extra minutes, and they don't exactly have a ton of options. I think it's probably better for him to have Dame out there. I think that he's getting slept on. Like, we have him at 33 minutes, I think. That feels a little light for what this game is.
That's a good shout. What do we think
Like,
Indy
I don't
does?
think foul trouble is going to be a problem.
What adjustments do we think Indy really makes? Because I feel like they're pretty locked in with their rotation. Just kind of looking at last game as an outlier, Milwaukee shot it out of the gym on them a little bit. It feels like a spot that you're still going to see the same kind of stuff. I mean, we got what? Isaiah Jackson entered the rotation for 9 minutes, but he closed for it. So there's 5 minutes there. We saw a 4-minute stint for him. It's me just thinking of like, what's the path to Brook Lopez playing more than 30 minutes, 32? I don't really think there is one. With Dame back, like Portis played 39.5 minutes. A lot of that had to be alongside Brook Lopez as I'm going through it. I think it's just kind of like, yeah, I think the Brook Lopez shout is a pretty good one.
I just finished my second run. I'll probably have one additional coming up. So let me go ahead and paste this bad boy in and figure out if I've had any sort of changes or anything like that.
My thing is if Mitchell Robinson plays, which I expect him to, what do we think those minutes look like? Because just talking about other potential centers here.
I'm terrified of him today. Well, I'm terrified of the center situation for New York in general because I think they're going to want to go to Precious Achiuwa for a few minutes. And I don't really know where those minutes end up coming from. I think they can kind of come from anybody.
Played 0 last game.
I know. And I don't think that's a great idea for New York. I think you want him for some of that switchability, especially late. Like I think we're live to see Precious not play in the first half and then pick up a rotation after Embiid gets a little tired where they just start switching everything. Whether or not that happens, I don't know. It doesn't really matter in terms of like rostering Precious Achiuwa. I don't think that that's something that you can do, but it does give me pause about getting to a 20% owned Mitchell Robinson or even a 20% owned Isaiah Hartenstein. I'm a little bit under on both of those guys. So I think one of them ultimately plays, 24 minutes or something like that and is the fine dude to get to. But I think one of them is going to give up a couple minutes for defensive purposes late. When you could start switching everything, I think stuff gets a little scary. And they're already comfortable going to Anunoby on him late. Obviously, that you can go to Precious on him and bring help. That's the part that is concerning me at least a little bit. How much Brook Lopez did I get? So I have 20% of Brook Lopez right now.
That's a good number.
I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a boost to get to a little bit. I find that to be a good shot. I mean, otherwise, what else are we looking at in terms of leverage? We covered a lot of the good pieces. Like for me, a lot of the guys that I'm taking larger overweight stances to are already Miles Turner, where he's 46% owned. Andrew Nembhard is already 44% owned. Joel Embiid is 42% owned. Like it's nice to get to somebody who's sitting with no ownership and kind of get to them. I think Kyle Lowry was the other guy that I've been kind of circling, trying to figure out how I want to handle it because he's been playing a ton. And with as involved offensively as what Maxey and Embiid are together in tandem, like Kyle Lowry hasn't necessarily seen as much, court time volume here. 26 minutes that we saw last time out, they ended up going to some different looks. They ended up getting away from some of his minutes specifically. I think that's pretty live to just be shooting dependent. He was 0 for 4, didn't really add anything offensively there in that spot. I know DeAnthony Melton exists in theory, but we've seen him in one game of this series. Didn't play last time, played 7 minutes in that spot. I don't think I'm going to be carving out any minutes away from him there. I mean, this just really comes down to like Nick Batum. He played 33 minutes. The 2 games previous to it, 21-29, both pretty competitive spots. The whole series kind of has been. It kind of depends what else New York throws out on the floor, how they go about it. But, the McBride, the DiVincenzo type thing. But like Kyle Lowry is somebody that I feel like I should be overweight to. He's got positive leverage as well. Don't know what I'm going to end up doing with it at the end of the day. I mean, I can get to Ben Shepherd and potentially see 17, 18 minutes for 3,100 and probably going to be more involved in terms of usage than what Lowry's going to be.
Brett Shoop just hit us with the member message. 3 years. Shout out Brett Shoop. It's always good to see. 3 years, long time. Love it, long time. So we went through some of our favorite GPP plays, but we need the ultimate GPP play. The guy that blows your ding dong off. It is time for the nuke of the night. All right, who's that going to be for me?
I don't like the guy you brought up. I mean, it's not like a low-owned piece, so to speak. Like, just trying to decide how chalky I want to be.
I think I know who I'm taking.
I find it hard to believe Tyrese Maxey is going to be 26.5% based off of what we just saw. But you know what? That may be the case. How ridiculous do I want to be here at the moment? No, we're going to go pretty chalky. We're going to go chalky towards it. We haven't brought up his name yet. He's going to probably play 48 minutes tonight. Josh Hart is 7,400, small forward, power forward. I find him and OG Anunoby to just be inevitable. Thibodeau is going to play Brunson, Hart, and Anunoby for as many minutes as humanly possible. We can rotate around the Mitchell Robinson piece. We could probably get to some Precious Achiuwa if Mitchell Robinson ends up being out. I assume that he plays, so be on the lookout for that. But kind of like a two-way dude. I'll put both of them together. Josh Hart and OG Anunoby. You're getting 44 minutes plus from two guys that are going to be sub 7,500. Give me that on this slate every single time and just jam them. Your co-nukes of the night, Anunoby and Hart.
This man is currently projected for 20% ownership. I believe this team wins and ends the series today, and I have 40% of him. And it hasn't looked good lately, so I'm hoping that people don't want to click it. Pascal Siakam, come on down. You are the nuke of the night.
You wanted to say what of the night there, didn't you?
No, I would have been very wrong if I said that.
Yeah,
It was Pascal Siakam, you are the pirate of the night. I would have gotten that right.
Oh,
he looks exactly like the dude that I'm the captain now.
Oh my God.
Almost spot on. I'm amazed that he doesn't get
a little bit bigger. I'm going to throw it out there. He's maybe a little bit more well-built.
Yeah, but same. It's like his little brother. One of them went one way to the NBA. The other went to robbing boats in the middle of the ocean. It happens, man. You never know.
Life comes at you fast. Hey, whatever you got to do to make $1, I suppose.
Speaking of, Sleeper is the sponsor of this show. You can get a deposit bonus of up to $500 by signing up, clicking the link in the description or the one in chat. Again, the deposit bonus is what you guys should be looking for. It's the easiest way to acquire money. Play through it. You find out you love the site, great. You're already there. If you find out you don't, you've already played through your bonus and you can go somewhere else. You could use OddsShopper to help you out if you want. You could have 100x payouts. They have dynamic payouts where you get a multiplier on either side. Really helps to build out some of those fun faux parlay cards that you can get to. Sleeper is the sponsor. We love having them. I talk about them constantly. And it's really just the best possible spot for you to start on the pick'em side. That deposit match bonus doesn't exist anywhere else in the industry. So take advantage of it now, because one day we're going to do this show and they're going to be like, yo, it's $100 now. And you guys are going to be left thinking, why did I just leave $400 on the table? Don't do it. Sign up right now. All right. Why am I getting canceled?
Not getting canceled at all. You didn't do anything. Some people.
Anyway,
what it is.
Who are you fading? And why is it Obi Toppin and TJ McConnell?
It's TJ McConnell. Let's see. What do I have for Obi Toppin right now? Obi Toppin went ballistic. He played more minutes than what you would expect. It was a blowout. I'm not expecting that the second time around. Far more inclined to jam Miles McBride at 4,200 than TJ McConnell. Far more inclined to jam McBride instead of Toppin at, $200 more. The TJ McConnell thing is just like with Ben Shepherd knocking down shots and, being somewhat better defensively, there's no way that you're going to see TJ McConnell play more than 20 minutes. You're just not throughout this entire series. 18, 16, 16, 18, 16, probably the easiest guy to project the minutes for because he's important enough where he won't play blowout run, but he's also not important enough that they want him on the floor in key scenarios. This isn't an elimination game for Indy, but like, I still think there's a path for Obi Toppin to play a little bit more if need be. I mean, shit, you could just take the minutes away from Isaiah Jackson in any capacity and give them to said front court member, which I don't expect to happen this time around. But yeah, the TJ McConnell ownership is pretty wild. It feels a little heavy to me. I'm sub 20% right now. It's freaky because, you know, he's somebody who can go for 30 and 16 minutes, but it is definitely going to be something where if he's pulling 40% ownership, easily just give me McBride, where the ceiling to the minutes is just there.
Yeah, I'm fading him too. I've been fading him all series. I don't see the playing time upside. He's got to run hot as the sun to pay that off with that ownership. So I'm very happy to get away. I don't love Toppin in this spot. I think it's possible you can see a couple extra minutes out of Isaiah Jackson. Toppin was heavy negative last time out. Maybe that experience of, you know, running Toppin at the 5 a little bit more is not working now that they've been able to make some changes. Not to mention, if Damian Lillard is back, I don't think you want Obi Toppin to be the guy that has to meet him at the rim. He might be the worst rim protector in the league, no matter what position you pick. So maybe you have Isaiah Jackson meeting him for some of that pick and roll duty when Turner has to be off the floor. That's going to allow me to just be a little bit more apprehensive about Obi Toppin. And then my third biggest fade right now is technically based on ownership, Joel Embiid.
Yeah, good luck with that one. That won't be me.
But like, if we're being honest here, how frequently do I fade pay up stars and it just goes bad?
More than you should. And in fact, I think it's good that you accept that as a character flaw. But here's the thing, is that there are going to be the times that I think it's genius. In hindsight, that Luka Doncic specific slate that you're alluding to, I'm completely on board with the fade in hindsight. Once we got to the flip and he ends up being 55% owned. He was projected around like 35, 40 the whole way. You were pretty on top of that. You talked through the entire thing. You had 0 and he goes completely nuclear. This is a little bit different to me purely because it's these 2-game slates where the raw points just do so much for you. Like 64, 65 from him and Maxey there in overtime. You're not expecting something like that, but he's 7 points higher than that of Brunson. He's at a position also where he's projected by more than 20 to be the highest scorer above a Miles Turner. Like, that gives you a lot of cushion to be able to mix and match a lot of iterations with him. Like, at 10-7, Joel Embiid playing 44 minutes against any other team in the association would be breaking the slate. Like, just looking ridiculous. But it's the Knicks. It's a 202 total. It's been him laboring and looking awful for a lot of the series relative to what we expect from Joel Embiid. This team is obviously keyed in on him. He's, you know, one of the most impactful players in the league, but his price at 10-7 is just bad. Like, it's still something that you should be paying 11K for with these kind of minutes for him. So for me, it's too many raw points to be giving up on this slate. I think playing more than 50% of him like I currently am is going to be the path that I end up going instead.
Riley Cooper wants to know Kyle Lowry or McBride with no other context. So it's McBride.
Yeah. What? Yeah. I mean, you need the context though. I mean, one's very, very popular. One's not going to be. Kyle Lowry's playing no ownership. Like, what else does the lineup look like?
Which
what
site
is your contest size? What site? Like,
yeah.
Just
you can use the player compare tool for 1v1s.
There we go.
Free.
Like that.
Stochastic.com. Chris Williams gifted 5 memberships. Love seeing that. And then for whoever asked that question before that didn't add the question, I have McBride for 28 minutes.
I think he's live for 30 plus in this spot too. So I
Agreed.
very much, I'm with you where I just like McBride more than I like any other value piece on the slate. I did last slate too, for what it's worth. We just jammed him in both. Did my camera go out? Is that what you're making fun of or what's happening?
Yes.
My camera's not out.
It was.
Right, was it?
It was.
What is going on? I didn't touch anything.
Maybe you need to start touching things.
Touching
you thought about
me,
that? Maybe
touching you.
I just finished off my final run pasting that into my workbook now. Nervous.
Sorry, Jordan.
Nervous. Liked what I had on previous run. Now we find out if it's worth it.
I like the way my
change.
lineups look now. And I like the Brook Lopez piece to get away from as much Miles Turner. I had like 80 something. I'm at 60, which I'm happier with. 58.67% at 150. Miles McBride pulling north of 50 now for me. OG Anunoby pulling north of 50. Josh Hart pulling north of 50. I'm playing the best plays who play a lot of minutes, and then I'm getting different elsewhere. I feel like Kyle Lowry I should be getting to some of, though.
The lock button that I have on Miles Turner and Aaron Nesmith right now is a lot.
I had 80% Miles Turner before, for what it's worth, but
I have
I have
90 plus of both.
Jeez and me, what the hell? No, I'm playing Joel Embiid. You're not, so there's that.
I definitely have too much of Nick Batum, even though I do think he looks like a great play.
I'm worried that he ends up being kind of the Sims du jour, if you will. Like, he is popping big time for me. And
I think he's live to play a lot more minutes today.
But he played a lot more minutes last time. I guess it's not really reflected in his salary, and that's the point. But
yeah, do you know what his points prop is for today?
I didn't see his. Is it
4.5?
Oh, 4.5. By the way, did Duncan Robinson go for over 3.5? Because I tuned in, I was walking Duke and, putting together all my MLB and everything else stuff. So I tuned into playback last night, and all of a sudden Greg and Ben are firing off 3.5 point Duncan Robinson props, which made me a little queasy, but I've got to see if he ended up getting there.
That's grisly.
Wasn't great. 2 points for Duncan. That is so gross. They started firing it off. He played quite a bit too, like more than I had him for like 8 minutes. So he played 17. He scored 2 points and was a -17. Oops.
I basically don't have Mitchell Robinson or Isaiah Hartenstein right now. Wow. I don't hate. It's just I have Turner and everything, and then I have enough Brook Lopez. I have enough Brook Lopez that it's interesting to me. So
I guess with 7 minutes left, here's the question: if you end up getting Mitchell Robinson ruled out, which we haven't done a lot of these, like as many like theorizations, which again, I brought up nonstop about Jared Allen at least, which was good because I thought it was pretty clear that Jared Allen had a larger path to being ruled out than most people we've seen this postseason. Like we've had some guys ruled out from the ether for absolutely no reason, but Jared Allen wasn't one of them. What happens if we get Mitchell Robinson out here? Because I'm thinking on a 2-game slate where, we've had some 3-game slates. Like I think I just end up jamming Precious Achiuwa in this spot.
Yeah. Well, I don't.
It's 3,200.
Yeah, but you have at that point you have 1 game.
Right, but I think that there's paths for me to being able to get to it by just playing more Embiid, or you have to just pre-bake some Precious Achiuwa in now. Especially, you said that you thought there was a good chance that he might just actually get rotational run. We have him in for 5 fantasy points, so I think we at least have him projected to see the floor at some point tonight. But like, that is such a big piece of value to walk into. I think you would project him for like 16 minutes, 17 minutes based on the last time. We know there can be a minute's upside based on how he's playing, based on what they need. But are you going to do anything to factor that in?
No.
Okay. Good talk. Glad we had it.
You want to know something that's really wild right now? I'm not going to make a change just because of it. So we have 366% ownership going to Milwaukee, Indy, and 434 going to Knicks and Philly. We actually have more ownership going into the Knicks and Philly game. My split right now for ownership for game 1 and game 2 is 400 to 400. Dead even, and I didn't know that before I clicked refresh.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, I'm over on Indy, I'm under on Milwaukee, and I'm basically neutral to Philly and a little bit under on the Knicks.
Dude, that's wild.
But I've got everything in. Who's your Amber Heard play of the day?
Nick Batum. I hate that he's showing up as much as what he is for me, but he's 3,500. We have nothing else that looks quite like him in the sub 4K range. Playing him in like 45% of my lineups right now. I feel much better regardless of what happens with Hart and Anunoby. It would take injury for them not to play 44 plus minutes and look phenomenal to me. So I'm less concerned about that. I see lots of ways where it's like, why did I play 45% Nick Batum?
Ryan asked the question in chat before. I will let you answer, but you and I both know what this answer is. Who wins in a tag team wrestling match? You and Laffy, as in me, or you and Eric, or sorry, you and Greg.
In a tag team wrestling match? A scripted wrestling match where Greg gets to beat the shit out of all of us because he's the emperor? Or is it one where it's based on physical strength? Because Greg is a twig.
Yeah, Laffy and I are going to roll in that scenario.
Yeah, I think they're just, I mean, I'm down to 190 now. I'm down 15 pounds in the last 4 months. So I'm trimming weight. I would need to get back on the old drinking, eating diet to really get weight back to try to compete. I'm 6'2". You're about an inch or two taller than I am, based on Chicago. And Greg
I must have been wearing lifts in my shoes.
5'5".
I'm 6'2" as well.
Okay.
So is Laffy, to my knowledge, or at least something in that neighborhood.
Yeah, we were both like, oh, you're taller than, we both thought each other were taller than what we expected. And we're both like 6'1", 6'2". So
yeah, we win kind of, no offense to Greg, but we win kind of here by default from a size matters.
Yeah,
no matter what,
Greg,
no matter what your gal tells you.
What does matter, and I'm fine. Okay. You put me with the 5'5" guy. Stop it. Stop it. It's not fair.
Laffy
it's not fair. He's a baseball player. Would you prefer the word buzz?
We're going to isolate Greg, destroy him. You're going to just be waiting for that hot tag. You have no chance to get in.
Just dead dead on arrival.
It's happening. It's happening. 90 seconds left. Who are your 3 most exposed players?
Miles Turner, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby.
Aaron Nesmith, Miles Turner, Nick Batum. I have
McBride, Batum, my 4-5.
Nesmith and Turner are everything for me. They are in 90+% of my lineups.
Okay. Yeah, Nesmith, I have 45%.
I don't hate it. Like, I'm happy with Turner. I think he looks like the best option. If you got to go to somebody, I think that works. And Nesmith is 5,100. I expect him to play 38+ minutes, if not 40+. So long as the game is mildly competitive. I mean, he still got to like 33 or something like that, even coming off the floor in that last one. Shooting guard, small forward. Like, I like the flexibility. I've been riding and dying with him a lot, but I need 27 fantasy points tonight out of that dude.
Matt Kajeski, I'll be your partner, Eric. Matt Kajeski is not somebody you want to be fucking with. Let me just tell you.
No, I don't need some crazy person hitting me with tuna cans and Four Locos and shit, man. I don't know. I'm not ready for that one. If he tags in, I'm out. The thing about Matt
Kajeski is that when you watch him do a video and he just doesn't move for an hour, and it's just
the discipline, man. It's terrifying.
I can't even hold that still on purpose.
I don't want that smoke. I would have to fight very dirty.
The projection. We have to be looking at the projection and having
very
to be factoring it in. Eric, could you please stop singing? That would be great. Thank you very much. These are our NFL shows, by the way. See you guys in 4 months.
I need a weapon for that one.
Yeah, you would. Gajeski, Uptown Funk ain't none to fuck with. That's for sure.
He's gonna be like slitting my throat with tuna can lids and stuff.
And he'll be like, terrifying. You guys want to go get a glizzy after this?
On that note,
down in the Sizzler, my treat.
We are locked 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. We're off to playback.tv/stochastic, where Greg and I will watch the first hour of the Indiana Pacers taking on the Milwaukee Bucks. Who wins? Quick.
Pacers and Sixers.
Pacers and Knicks.
Ooh.
And then this one is over. Good luck, everybody. Come to playback right now. Watch the game with us. We're out of here. Peace.